Get the latest news and keep up to date with information about SOBA America on SOBA America TV.
A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. Never gives up. Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down, but got back up again. Education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. A brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who has conquered that fear. Nelson Madiba Mandela. He was a selfless man who sacrificed so much to rewrite the history of generations of South Africans and the world. The month of February represents Black history. Let's see what we have for our news update. Fetus Quarren Intellectual. Thank you. For over 81 years, St. Joseph's College Sase has stood by its motto of faith, seeking knowledge. A quality basic education gives children the knowledge and the skills needed in facing the daily life challenges and an advantage in economic and life learning opportunities. It is also a key driver in reducing poverty, fostering economic growth, achieving gender equality, and social development. St. Joseph's College Sase was created in 1939 by the Mill Hill Missionaries. It is affiliated with the Catholic faith as an all-male institution to provide education at the first cycle and later high school levels, offering programs in arts and sciences. It is a powerhouse of education, knowledge, and excellence. No doubt it was awarded the prize of the best school in West Africa in 2012. The United Nations was created to free the world from the scourge of warfare. It held out the promise of a future lived in freedom from fear. UNESCO was created to help build that future. In the poignant words, its constitution reads, "We are mandated to combat through education the ignorance of each other's ways and lives that has fueled armed conflict across the ages." The last time I checked, Cameroon was part of the Community of Nations. So what happened? What happened? In several conflicts, school and community leaders have negotiated agreements with parties to armed conflicts. This enabled government forces and non-state armed groups not to attack schools or use them for military or political purposes. This is what the principal of St. Joseph's College Sase, Father Sakwe, had to say about the current situation of the college.
I came as principal of Sase in July 2018, and as you know, the crisis, the Anglophone crisis, which is presently rocking the Northwest and Southwest regions, is ongoing, and I took over office with many challenges. I think the major setback, which I can point my finger to, is a crisis which has affected every aspect of the college, the enrollment, even the relocation and all that because of the crisis. I think the crisis has really dealt with us negatively.
Negotiations have usually required some type of intervention by a third party that is trusted or acceptable to all stakeholders. If the parties have been unwilling or unable to engage in face-to-face meetings, the use of shuttle diplomacy can be an option. Why is it different for Cameroon? Since its replacement of the failed League of Nations in 1945, the challenges posed by armed conflicts have not changed. The principles, values, and institutions remain as valid as ever. Let us together use them to confront the hidden crisis posed on education and create a world that every child and every parent is free from fear. Just as reported in our last broadcast, the SOBA American nation mourns Eric Ganje. Listen to this report by Dan Ellard. Dan?
Our SOBA America family was once more stricken by the cold hands of death, with the Soban Eric Ganje of the DMV chapter, who passed away suddenly in the early hours of January 1st. His death came as a shock to the family and friends, as he had shown no signs of acute illness. Sobans converged in Capitol Heights, Maryland in great numbers for Soban Ganje's funeral on the weekend of February 7th and 8th, 2020. The wake-keeping on Friday, February 7th, was very heavily attended by family, friends, and well-wishers. It was a night of celebration of the life of Soban Ganje as family, friends, and groups shared stories, painting a picture of a great man who was very well loved. President Forte led the SOBA America tribute to our fallen brother. After a brief word of condolence to the widow, Dr. Patricia, and his daughter Hannah, he introduced DMV President Ekole Fonjongo.
I'd like to thank you guys for coming out and help us mourn with the loss of our brother and our member, Erico. At this time, I'll call on all the members of SOBA DMV to please come on the floor. All the SOBA DMV members.
President Fonjongo spoke passionately about Soban Ganje. Soban Anding Gasa of his 1979 class led a tribute by his classmates. It was a highly emotional moment as he reminded everyone of the misfortune that the 1979 class had suffered, with several classmates passing within the last 2 years. President Forte then presented Soban Ganje's widow a SOBA America Memorial Shield in his honor and a check of $10,000 on behalf of SOBA America. Funeral services on Saturday at the Resurrection Church brought out raw emotions as the church was packed with mourners saying their last goodbyes. Soban Ganje's daughter, Hannah, gave a fitting tribute to her dad as she fought back tears. President Forte delivered a eulogy that was very moving.
Sister Patricia, Diana, Brother Ralph, family and friends.
Sobans and Obsans sang in the choir during the Requiem Mass. After the Mass, the casket of our fallen brother, draped in memorial SOBA America flag, in his honor, slowly made its way to the hearse as SOBANs flanked both sides of the guard of honor. The flag was folded and handed to the widow before the casket was put in the hearse. SOBANs gave our fallen brother a befitting guard of honor as the hearse carrying his casket slowly left the premises. Soban Erin Ganje will be buried in his home country of Cameroon. The repast that followed the funeral once again was evidence of how much Soban Erin Ganje was loved. He was truly a man of the people, and he will be sorely missed. Reporting for SOBA America TV, Tang Eled.
Thank you, Dan. Also, in another very sad story, Soban Eric Egwacho of the DMV chapter and a member of SOBA America lost daughter Erica on the 26th of this month. The SOBA America nation joins Dr. Forte and wife Laura in praying for the Egwacho family during this very difficult time. May the Lord continue to comfort their hearts. We will have more to this unfortunate story in our next broadcast. You are watching SOBA America TV Network, the pinnacle of diaspora news. Don't go away. Connecting with SOBANs in their various localities is something this SOBA America president, Dr. Bertrand Forte, takes very seriously. On a recent telephone conversation with SOBA America TV News Update, he emphasized that a collaborative problem-solving and consensus-building approach is an effective way to serve the management of such a big organization like SOBA America. Listen to this report by Divine. Divine?
Thank you, Emmanuel. We are standing in front of the Mall of America. It is the biggest mall in the United States and certainly a very busy spot in the Twin Cities. Across the street is the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport, which is where Dr. Forte landed on February 1st as he continued his Meet the People's tour of SOBA America.
So, during the chapter meeting later that evening hosted by Senior SOBAN Steve Daly, President Forte expressed his gratitude to SOBA Minnesota for the warm reception accorded him. His presence in Minnesota in the heart of winter bears testimony to the high esteem that he has for the chapter. While presenting his message of goodwill, Dr. Forte challenged SOBA Minnesota to join him in raising funds for their alma mater, St. Joseph's College, Sasse. One of the ways to achieve this, he continued, is to support the local community through community service.
But also big things for Sasse. One way in which you can do big things is to raise a lot of money. And the only way to raise a whole lot of money is to take advantage of the huge nonprofit industry we have in America. To do that, we have to show that we're doing things in our community. In order to write for grants and stuff, we want to show what you're doing. So I'm challenging every chapter to consider doing one community service activity each year. And let us know about it. Let's cover it on SOBA America TV Network. Let's put it on the website. So each year we'll write an annual report for Sasse Alumni Association. We'll include that. If we can do this consistently for a year or two, we'll be in a position where we can raise hundreds of thousands of dollars in the US and we can do things for us and for Sasse.
On his part, Mullah Steve Daly thanks Dr. Forte for braving the harsh winter weather to be in Minnesota of all places. Among other things, he called on SOBA America to play a bigger role in the administration of Sasse, given the high level of engagement between SOBA America and Sasse College. At the end of the meeting, President
We
Forte
all know
expressed his
that we have a
satisfaction as to
candidate
how
who
SOBA
refused
Minnesota
to give
members
a bunch
were
of open
engaged during the
opportunities for,
question and answer session,
and
which
I don't
led to
know
some
how
very
that's
important
affecting
ideas and suggestions
SOBA
being
right now.
discussed.
Well, first of all, I want to thank SOBA Minnesota for inviting me and for the warm welcome, even though the weather is cold outside. We had a good meeting. We talked a lot. I heard some good suggestions from SOBAns in SOBA Minnesota, a lot of engagement, and I'm happy. And that's what this is all about, meeting the people, talking with SOBAns, sharing ideas, sharing our vision, and learning from SOBAns. So overall, I'm happy with the meeting today, and I thank SOBA Minnesota for the opportunity.
So on Saturday, February 2nd, President Forte made the rounds visiting SOBAns who couldn't attend the meeting the previous night. He visited a SOBAN who was in the hospital attending to their sick child, another SOBAN who just had a baby, and finally, he paid a courtesy visit to the palace of President Emeritus His Royal Highness Fuajiawong Michael Fondungala. President Forte wrapped up the day by attending a Super Bowl party hosted by SOBAN William Aminkeng, where he watched the game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers.
So after a very productive visit to the Twin Cities, Dr. Forte made a last stop here at the Mall of America, where he picked up some gift items before boarding his plane and heading back to Charlotte. Dr. Forte was very pleased with how much he accomplished during his 2 days in Minnesota. Reporting for SOBA America TV, I am Divine Tange.
Thank you, Divine. The Bylaw Review Task Team, under chairmanship of Reverend Deacon, have recently completed and submitted a report to the Forte administration. They answered the call of duty and faithfully executed what they were called upon to do. We are very grateful. Secretary Divine Tange has been directed to moderate the debate and oversee the next phase of the process. Listen to this report by Pascal Sama Babbitt. Pascal?
Emmanuel, as you all know, registration is now open for the 2020 SOBA America National Convention, which will take place in Dallas, Texas from May 22nd to May 24th. The Forte administration is actively involved in the preparation of this event. SOBANs, SOBANese, patrons, and family members can purchase their ticket on our website at www.sobaamerica.org. But this is not the only happenings going on right now for SOBA America. A bylaw review task team just completed a detailed word-for-word review on the entire bylaws that govern SOBA America. Here is more to that information. A bylaw review task team recently completed a detailed review of the entire bylaws that govern SOBA America. The team comprised of SOBANs across our SOBA America nation. It was created and commissioned by President Dr. Bertrand Forte himself in July of last year, 2019. SOBANs across SOBA America sent in suggestions to the bylaw review task team, and the team compiled the suggestion in a report. The report was submitted to President Forte on Thursday, February 20th, 2020. The President has directed the Secretary General to moderate debate on the suggestions of the bylaws with a plan to vote and adopt any changes during the General Assembly at the May National Convention. The suggested changes of the bylaws will first be presented in the SOBA America Telegraph Communication Platform by the Secretary General of SOBA America. On this platform, every SOBAN will have the opportunity to comment, scrutinize, or debate on the suggestions. Under this process, SOBANs will best identify which suggested changes of the bylaws to adopt at the May National Convention. Emmanuel, it's worth noting that while this process unfolds, the current bylaw of SOBA America stands as the legitimate one. The Forte administration is grateful to the bylaw review task team for a job well done. The administration is equally grateful to all SOBANs who sent in their suggestion to the bylaw review task team. Reporting for SOBA America TV, I'm Pascal Babit Sama. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back. On the 21st of December, the World Health Organization was informed of an outbreak of a pneumonia of unknown cause in Wuhan, the seventh largest city in China with residents of about 11 million people. The virus causing this outbreak was later determined to be the novel coronavirus. The first reported infected individuals, some of whom showed symptoms as early as December 8th, were discovered to be among stallholders from the Wuhan, South China seafood market, which was subsequently closed on January 1st, 2020. In a new study, researchers sequenced the coronavirus, also referred to as 2019 nCoV, and found it most closely related to viruses that originated in bats. Bats were not sold at the Wuhan seafood market, but it's possible that an animal intermediary like snakes transmitted the virus from bats to humans. Infected travelers, primarily by air, are known to be responsible for introduction of the virus outside of Wuhan. As of February 2nd, cases involving individuals who had not recently traveled to China have been confirmed in the US, Thailand, Taiwan, Germany, Vietnam, Japan, and France. The CDC says that the human coronavirus are most commonly spread between an infected person and others via the air. A close contact, like touching or shaking hands, an object or surface with viral particles on it, touching the mouth, nose, or eyes before washing your hands, and rarely from fecal contamination. SOBA America TV Network contacted Dr. Awunja Leke in Houston, Texas. This is what she had to say on this subject. Hello, Dr. Leke. Welcome to the news update.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for having me.
Is there a cure for the coronavirus?
Currently, there is no cure for the coronavirus. Treatment is mainly supportive therapy. That means that the body is eventually going to fight off the infection. And in the meantime, a patient is supported with things like IV fluids and oxygen, and sometimes mechanical ventilation, that is a breathing machine. Therefore, it is very essential that people stay as healthy as they can. Most of the deaths recorded so far have been in patients who are elderly or patients that have multiple chronic medical conditions. Therefore, anyone that has any chronic illness such as diabetes, hypertension, chronic kidney disease, kidney failure, should make sure that they continue to take their medications as prescribed. And again, make sure that you're up to date with your flu shot.
What are the signs and symptoms of this illness?
Anyone with signs or symptoms of a cold, such as sore throat, fever, a cough, runny nose, shortness of breath, should be evaluated by a medical professional. Lastly, let's continue to practice safe hand hygiene, washing our hands frequently, and making sure we lather with soap thoroughly for at least 20 seconds before rinsing. And if we do use alcohol-based sanitizers, making sure that the alcohol content is at least 70% of alcohol.
Dr. Leke, before you go, is there any advice you have for the community?
Here are some of the things we can all do as a community to protect ourselves. Firstly, we need to make sure that we're up to date with our flu shots. The next thing is continuing to practice safe hand hygiene. Make sure you wash your hands thoroughly and scrub for up to 20 seconds. This is usually the time it takes to sing happy birthday to you twice. Once you're done rinsing off, remember to turn the faucet off only after you have dried your hands with a paper towel and use that paper towel to turn the faucet off. Another option of good hand hygiene is using hand sanitizer. Just make sure that whatever hand sanitizer you use has at least 60% of alcohol. Lastly, if you do get any signs or symptoms of a cold, such as a runny nose, sore throat, fever, or cough, make sure you seek medical attention and stay at home. Do not go to work while you are sick.
Thank you, Dr. Leakey. Our role in responding to this possible pandemic is to combat fear with knowledge in order to encourage preparedness and reduce stigma. Thank you for watching. See you next month.
Welcome to another edition of Health Focus on SOBA America TV, where we discuss wellness and health topics which help stimulate our minds and build a healthier community. In this month's edition, we'll visit Fakou Heart Center in Boya, Cameroon. Fakou Heart Center has been referred to by many as a premier heart or cardiac facility in Cameroon. This gives us an opportunity to see what Cameroon has to offer in terms of cardiac care and to understand what type of resources and equipment are available at this center. We will be interviewing some of the doctors and members of staff, as well as the CEO of Fakou Heart Center. Follow and join us for this report. During our visit to Fakou Heart Center, we interviewed Dr. Jerry Asane about what the causes and symptoms of heart disease are. What do we do if these symptoms manifest? And why is Fakou Heart best equipped to handle heart disease compared to other hospitals? Dr. Jerry, what are some of the symptoms of heart conditions which you would encourage all Cameroonians to pay attention to, and what should they do in case they feel some of the symptoms?
Ideally, these are patients who have cardiovascular risk factors. So a patient who is hypertensive, a patient with diabetes, these are patients who are obese or overweight. These are all cardiovascular risk factors. Those who have been smoking or take profuse amount of alcohol, these all put a burden on the heart and eventually could predispose an individual to heart diseases. So essentially, these are people who eventually start having chest pain. It could be a boring chest pain or a sharp chest pain, and they could also develop difficulties breathing, feel a weakness at some point at a particular side of the body, which shows imminent stroke. And these are people also who could start feeling or experiencing swelling of the legs. Immediately, when you have any of these symptoms, it's important to consult with the primary care physician, who will eventually send you to a specialized clinic such as ours, where we'll give you better management of your condition.
Given prevention is normally better than cure, what moves have been taken by Fakou Heart to sensitize the community on heart issues which they might face?
Right. So, well, recently we we have been doing a lot of outreach programs in the community, sensitizing them on these cardiovascular risk factors. And like I earlier stated, most of these are silent killers, like hypertension. A lot of people are out there moving, they have no knowledge of their blood pressure. A lot of people are out there, they're moving, have no knowledge on their glucose, their blood sugar levels. And these are people also who are smoking, these are people who consume alcohol. A lot of this weigh on us, and it's important that we sensitize the population on these risk factors which predispose them to heart diseases and eventually stroke. So we move around in the community, we carry out sensitization, awareness in the community, while also on radio stations. We go on radio stations, we discuss about the facility, the services we provide, and how we can improve healthcare in Cameroon.
On another note, we came to realize that Fako Heart Center does offer remote consultation with some of the results and tests being reviewed by renowned cardiologists from around the world. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that functions?
Essentially, we are doing more of what is called telemedicine. Regardless of his physical presence, that's our UK-based consultant, Dr. Feburary came out. We do telemedicine wherein every case we receive, we run it by him, call him on the phone. He also discusses with the patients. We elicit signs on the patient and we relate to our consultant, and eventually these patients are well taken care of. Like I said, there have been over 1,000 of them, and the results have all been very, very good.
Thank you, Doctor. That's impressive, Dr. Jerry. I mean, after seeing over 1,000 patients and none of them has passed away and most of them have survived, it goes to the integrity of the kind of service you offer. So what are the special ingredients which are offered here, which are unique in Fako Heart Center, which have helped produce such great results?
Thank you. So first and foremost, I'll start by talking about the quality of health services that we provide, and these health services which are of high standards, like I said, in keeping with the UK standards. These are provided in a timely fashion, and also we are one of those centers which is in Central Africa with a cardiac intensive care unit. We also have specialized tests such as the tilt table test for patients who come in with dizzy spells and transient loss of consciousness. We also have a talented sonographer who provides, who does echocardiography, which is to see the functioning of the heart and the carotid as well in prevention of stroke. Thank you.
So, given what you guys have been able to achieve, do you guys often get referrals from other medical facilities, given the equipment you have? How often do you get referrals from other hospitals around Cameroon and in the Southwest in particular?
Well, around Cameroon and the Southwest in particular, I'll say they are coming in. They're recently increasing in number, but I think there is more we have to do in the sense of sensitizing the population. At the moment, we are getting some referrals, and this has been increasing over since we began in June. And we believe as we sensitize the population on our equipment and staff, eventually we'll pick up and get more referrals and provide quality health care to the population.
Dr. Jerry, what are the different fields of specialization which Fako Heart offers to the community?
Well, actually, Fako Heart Center is unique in the country and offers 3 major clinics. We have the stroke prevention clinic. We also have the rapid access chest pain clinic and the heart failure clinic. This is in keeping with the UK standards, and we can pride ourselves in saying we have seen over 1,000 patients since the center came in, and none of them, these are patients who came in with risk factors for stroke, and none of them till this day has had a stroke. So we are grateful, we're immensely grateful to our consultant cardiologist, Dr. Feburary, who has always been supportive throughout this venture.
So would you say there's something very unique that Fako Heart offers in terms of follow-up patients and preventive medicine, which is not found in many other clinics or hospitals?
I would say yes, very importantly, thank you for the question. That is, most clinics are not like Fako Heart. First and foremost, quality. We provide quality services, and these quality services are provided in a timely fashion. And with patients and with adherence to their medications, none of these patients will develop a heart attack. None of these patients will develop a stroke.
After the interview, Dr. Jerry gave us a tour of some of the state-of-the-art cardiac equipment FACOHAT uses for interventions.
So
This includes an echocardiogram or ECG, which is a test which uses high-frequency sound waves to make pictures of your heart. A stress test, which is an electrocardiogram to measure your heart's electrical activity as you exercise. A tilt table test, which involves changing a person's position quickly and seeing how their blood pressure and heart rate respond. Doppler echocardiography is also used by FACOHAT to examine a patient's heart condition. The 6-minute walk test provides information regarding the functional capacity, response to therapy, and prognosis across a broad range of chronic cardiopulmonary conditions. The pulmonary function test is a complete evaluation of the respiratory system, including the patient's history, physical examination, and test of pulmonary functions. After our interview and tour of FACOHAT Center with Dr. Jerry Asene, we interviewed FACOHAT Center's CEO, Mrs. Irene Kimmer. Today, we're with the CEO of FACOHAT, Ms. Irene Kimmer. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
What can you tell us? What's the vision for FACOHAT? Where do you see FACOHAT 5-10 years from today?
Welcome to FACOHAT Center, Boya. The vision of FACOHAT Center is to become the center of excellence for cardiovascular diseases in Cameroon. And in 5 to 10 years' time, we see ourselves as the go-to center for cardiovascular disease in Cameroon and surrounding African countries like Equatorial Guinea. Who knows, maybe Nigeria, people who are far from like the bigger cities where they can have the amenities. So that's our goal. That's the vision.
Okay. What special amenities and services in terms of even equipment make FACOHAT unique? Why should someone consider FACOHAT based on your equipment compared to others?
FACOHAT, first of all, is unique because we don't just diagnose. We diagnose, we treat, we investigate. We can do investigations. We can have all the necessary equipment. For instance, we have the ECG and ultrasound, which is the first base treatment for cardiac medicine. Then we've got like stress tests. For instance, you go see a cardiologist, you consult, they give you medication, you go home. When you come back for follow-up, we do follow-up our patients. We call them to come back. We put you on a stress test because you need to stress your heart and see how your heart will fare under stressful condition. Then we'll know if the medication, the dosage should be updated or reduced. And the equipment, another one we'll call, which sets us apart from all other hospitals in Cameroon, like the tilt table test, which you use to investigate collapse. People will just like stand after 3-4 minutes. They feel like they need to sit down or else they'll collapse. We can investigate and find out if it's cardiac related or brain related. And then we'll refer you to the necessary departments.
That said, it seems you're quite equipped. So how would you rank FACOHAT compared to other departments in different hospitals in terms of what you're trying to do? How would you rank yourselves? Is it a top 5? Is it a top 10? Is it number 1? Where would you currently think FACOHAT would be in the rankings?
I would think we could be number 2 or 3. I would think that's our position because we haven't got a cath lab yet, which would have ranked us first. But there are certain equipment that we've got that we are unique in Cameroon. For instance, this tilt table test, only FACOHAT has that investigation possibility in Cameroon. Even in Douala and Yaoundé, they don't have it. So for that, we are the first. But when you come to the other services, because we are new, we are barely 6 months old, so I would say we could rank ourselves 2nd or 3rd. Because I haven't been to some of the hospitals in Douala, like the Mona Clinic has been existing for years, so I wouldn't know what they have as equipment. But I'm thinking then there's Shisong, but because of the problems we are facing now, they've I've heard they've relocated to Douala, they're renting a space. So I don't think they have all the equipment that they had at the location there in Bamenda. So that's why I'm saying we are maybe second or third.
What are the top 3 reasons would you give to a patient who's probably concerned about heart conditions why they should put Faco Heart as the first stop? What 3 things in terms of customer service and any other things you might name? Why should Faco Heart be number 1?
First of all, our treatment is unique because we have some medications from Europe, which means they are authentic. Because some of the medications here, some patients they are on medications for years. It doesn't really work because they tend to dilute some of the medication, but we have like the authentic one from Europe. So most patients, they come here, if you admit them, within 3 days, you discharge them because they feel more better, whereas they've been on certain drugs for like years and they still feel poorly. And then secondly, our customer care is second to none. It's none in Boya. Everybody is saying Faco has done something new because we look after our patient and we give them 3 square meals. The meals are tailored to your condition. So if you come here as a high blood pressure patient, we know what to give you. A heart failure patient, we know what to give you. And with the wraparound care, the patient, we give you bed sheet, everything, toothbrush, towels. So I think that's a service that you don't get it from other hospitals in Cameroon, precisely.
What challenges did you face in trying to open such a world-class facility down here in the Southwest? What did you face from regulatory standpoint and from any other challenges you might want to share with us?
I would think the biggest problem is financing because just this piece of land we're standing on, we bought it for 22 million. But if you say you're buying a piece of land for a medical facility, you think people will say, okay, that's something that will serve the community, but we had to pay a premium because this area is like the most secure area of Boya, so we had to pay premium for this piece of land. Regulatory-wise, we didn't have a lot of problems, even in Yaoundé. But again, because we had people who believed in us and saw it as something that would be good, so they helped us navigate some of those, the corridors in Yaoundé. So I would say we didn't really get a lot of problems in Yaoundé, but it's just the financing. And then people, they tend to say it's expensive. The cardiac base is expensive anyway, even in Europe or in America, it's not cheap. So I would say the biggest problem is financing. But again, when you embark on such a project, you don't intend on making profit after 2 years. So we know it's a long-term thing, but I think we need to start giving back to our communities because if we want to think about money, we will not do anything good back home.
What has been the reception of Faco Heart to the local communities, the chiefs, the leaders, the governor, and other representatives of the Ministry of Health? How receptive have they been to your concept?
I must say, so far we've dealt more with the Ministry of the Delegate of Health here in Boya. Because what happened is we just went operational. We didn't do like some launching party because then in June, so many people were even afraid to come to Boya. So we're like, we don't want to invite people and they say, oh, I can't come because I'm afraid. But the local population, they are really, really happy. Most people, they come here and they'll say, God should bless you guys for bringing this initiative. Thanks for thinking about us because so far we've seen so many people who had like live stroke, who were like having stroke and they were brought here and they were saved. They didn't have any handicap or anything. So, but the government, from the governor's point of view, we haven't really had any contact with him so far. But there's the official launching of Faco Heart that will be this December. That's when we'll interact with them because we need to invite them.
It is clear the vision of Faco Heart was that of renowned world cardiologist Dr. Fred Kimmer. How involved is he in the day-to-day running of Faco Heart? And what is his vision for Faco Heart, which is being currently implemented as well?
Yeah, Dr. Fred Kimmer, like you said, is well-renowned. He studied in Italy, in Rome, till PhD in cardiac medicine, then moved to the UK, got to the level of consultant cardiologist, which is the highest grading for the UK. And he's very involved, very. On every single call, he uses video calls. So every ultrasound that's been performed, he's on the phone and on video. So he diagnoses from London or from Paris, where he works at times. So he's very involved, very, very involved. And at times he comes here and spends a week. When he comes here on average, when he comes here in a week, in a day, we can see 100 patients because we announce that he will be here and people tend to come from far and wide. The vision, I know, is to make Faco Heart the Center of Excellence for Cardiac Medicine and Stroke Prevention. That's one of the things, because you sit back home, you hear, oh, this person had stroke, this person had stroke, this person just collapsed and died. We want to reduce cardiovascular death in Cameroon, and I know that's his vision.
While we're all excited about such a world-class facility, it also comes with it a question. How affordable is Fakohat to the farmer, to the taxi driver, to the lady who has no job and who might just be a babysitter? Can she afford the services, or any of them? Can they afford the services offered by Fakohat?
That's one of the biggest issues we are facing here is the financing by the patients. But we are very flexible. And again, our admission fee, if you're admitted, is 50,000. And in Douala is 150,000. Yeah. So, and the 50,000 here entails a lot. We'll give you a 3-course meal. The patient is looked after by our staff, so the family doesn't sleep at the hospital. And the beddings, everything, your hospital gown is given by us. Of course, we are very flexible when it comes to payment, because there are cases where we'll admit, and upon discharge, the person comes and say, hey, I have just 100,000, but the bill is even like 400. So we'll say, you know what? You can pay the rest bit by bit. And there's what they call mobile money here, where they pay through the phone. So most of them, they go home and they do transfer over the phone and it gets to us. So we tend to be understanding. That's why I said, such a project you can't embark on and say you want to make profit within the first year. You will never. Because they need to get used to. They need to get used to. The facility. But most of those who've been sick before, who used to travel to Shison and other areas, they come and they say, at least we are affordable, because by the time you travel to those places, only your transportation alone is 50 to 60,000. But when they come here, even from Kumba or even from Douala, the transportation doesn't even sum up to 10,000. So what we are trying to do is to sensitize the public that they should be proactive. Come and have your heart checks. We do outreach where we do free blood pressure, free cholesterol check. For instance, last Saturday we were in Limbe. 2 Fridays ago we were here in Boya, Bongo Square. We just need to sensitize the public that they should be proactive. Go do your checkup so you don't get to that point where you're really sick, where it gets more expensive.
Okay. So, about how many patients can you admit at a time here? And also, while handling that, can you also tell us the size of your staff in terms of doctors, nurses, technicians, and your admitting facilities, how much they can hold?
So far, we have 11 beds, because Dr. Fred Kemal, he keeps insisting that cardiac center cannot hold 10 beds because the monitoring is more intensive as compared to any other ward. Because when you have a patient like we saw earlier, the nurses are always there. They check the vital parameters like every 20 to 30 minutes. The doctor goes in every 30 minutes. So they are closely monitored. So we can't afford to have a ward of 50 patients. We can't, because the monitoring will be difficult for the nurses. And so far we've got, I think, 13 nurses. They spread over 3 shifts. Then we'll have, I think, four volunteers. That's something that we're trying to help, get young nurses who just graduate, come and have their experiences. And by the time they are finishing, if there's need, we'll employ them. If not, we'll just give them their certificate so they can go somewhere and look for a job. Then we have a sonographer, like you saw Ms. Aneka. Then in the sonography department, we have 1 lab biologist and 1 lab scientist. And we just took on 1 volunteer. We just started now in January. Then we have the communication department, where we have internal communication, it's a lady, Cynthia, and Ms. Amboa here was our public relation officer. Then we have the admin, where we have 4 staff. We have the legal department. There's a lady who's preparing all the contracts. Receptionist, we got 4. Cleaning. So I would say in total we have like 50. Because like I said, the cleaning, people don't just come in the morning, clean and disappear. If not, the place will be having some order, So they are there. Each shift they do like 7 hours, and the other ones come and they take over.
Thanks for watching another edition of Health Focus on SOBA America TV. We're hopeful that this program was able to provide you with enough information of what type of equipment and facilities Cameroon has to offer at one of its best-known facilities. If you have any other questions, please reach us at info@sobaamerica.org. We'll be glad to cover other topics of interest to you. Reporting from Boya, Cameroon, for SOBA America TV, Mafani Itwe.